everyone, it's paobeary. So I have heard that Genshin Impact put out a brand new survey, and this one apparently addresses some important quality of life. I have not seen the questions yet, so I'm a little bit curious as to what will be addressed here. But I saw that a lot of content creators were making a big deal about it, so it seems like it's going to be super important, which is why I really wanted to take this one. So, as some of you probably know, I very recently dropped Genshin Impact about 3 weeks ago or so, I think. I dropped a video called Dear Genshin Impact. You do not need to watch it, but basically the too long didn't listen version is I used to be a huge fan of the game, but the lack of any quality of life updates, among with other things, kind of ruined my enjoyment of the game overall, and ultimately I decided that I was just gonna stop playing it pretty much. However, I also did say in the video that I would be on the lookout for any updates to see if they would make any changes that would make the game more enjoyable for me. Because if they do address the things that I'm not happy about, I would be willing to give the game another try. So we'll see. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so it's gonna take approximately 2 minutes. Your feedback is very important to us. Yeah, let's see. How satisfied are you with the time limit on acquiring talent level up materials and weapon ascension materials available on a weekly schedule? Wow, so this was literally one of the things that I complained about in my video that I couldn't stand about the game. I think I said it might have been the worst thing about Genshin Impact. I'm pretty sure I said that. So, very unsatisfied, I just have to be honest. I truly believe players should be able to farm whenever they want to. They should not have to plan a schedule on a weekly basis to figure out when they can start building their character. All talent level up materials should always be available at all times. Same with weapon. There's just no reason. This is a really good question though, and I'm glad that they're addressing this so specifically. Okay, next. How do you prefer to farm materials? Focus on schedule planning. I pay attention to the domain opening schedule and plan my farming strategy. I don't pay much attention to the opening schedule and just farm whenever. So when I originally started playing, I was focusing on a schedule because, I mean, we pretty much had to, right? But later on, I just got tired of trying to plan out when I was going to farm. So I stopped paying attention in the end. And that made it very difficult for me to build my characters because I would just try to farm when I wasn't able to. So I really don't think we should have to have a whole schedule about when we can farm or not. So yeah. How do you prefer to farm materials? Focus on resin usage. I tend to stockpile resin and farm everything at once. I prefer to farm a bit each day, spreading it out over several days. I've done both of these things, but I would prefer to farm a little bit each day instead of going crazy on one day. But this is really hard because we are constricted by that schedule. So they just really need to take the schedule away and just let us farm whenever. It all comes back to that, I think. Why do you find the process of building talent level up and weapon ascension materials unsatisfactory? The progression feels disjointed, being forced to pause enhancement progression due to time limits, of course. I miss material farming times for various reasons, forgetting when material domains are available, not being able to log in for other reasons, yes. Time limits make it hard to plan resin usage effectively. Different talent level up and weapon ascension material domains that I require open on the same day, making it hard to gather enough of what I need. I don't know that I've come across this, to be honest, but I'm gonna mark it anyway because I really think the schedule needs to be taken away. I usually only build one character at a time, so I haven't come across that, but I know some people like to build characters at the same time, so they should not have to decide who to build. How satisfied are you with the material farming experience from weekly boss fights, where each boss can only be farmed once per week and materials drop randomly? Very unsatisfied, and that doesn't even really describe how I feel. I feel like I need an extremely dissatisfied for this one because I think it was when I was building Emily. There was a whole month of me trying to farm the correct materials for her, I always got the wrong drop, and during that month, I didn't get a single dream solvent. So a whole month was wasted, and I wasn't even able to make any progress on her talents. We should be able to choose which item we want, or at least guarantee the dream solvent so that we can convert it to the item that we need. But the way things are now, it's just not, it just doesn't work. Maybe I got extremely unlucky. Maybe people don't have that issue, but I went a whole month without getting a dream solvent and I got the wrong material every single time. So this was super annoying for me. Yeah. Extremely unsatisfied is what I want to say. But that's not an option. Yeah, this is awful. How is your material farm frequency? I only farm materials for the characters I'm currently building. When I have characters to build, I farm 3 times a week. When I have characters to build, I farm more than 3 times a week. Regardless of whether I have characters to build, I farm 3 times every week. Regardless of whether I have characters to build, I farm more than 3 times a week. I don't really do weekly boss fights. So I only really, well, oh wait, this is talking specifically about weekly boss fights. No, I actually, regardless of whether I have, yeah, I always farm the weeklies. And if I'm not building a character, I just alternate between different bosses so I can get different materials. So yeah, I was pretty much always doing the weeklies, even when I wasn't building somebody. What aspects of the material farming experience from weekly boss fights do you find unsatisfactory? Among the randomly dropped materials, sometimes I am unable to I cannot get the materials that I need. Boss can only be farmed once a week, and the material acquisition efficiency is too low, absolutely. The acquisition quantity of dream solvent and other auxiliary items cannot satisfy my needs. I literally couldn't get one for a whole month, which was insane. So yeah. Do the acquisition limits on the materials mentioned above affect your motivation to build a character? It has. I got both Mabuika, and I did end up getting Sitlali in the end, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I just want to farm when I want to, get the materials that I need. It shouldn't have to be like the fact that I can spend weeks or even more than a month with Emily to build a character just because I'm not getting the stuff I need is just awful to me. It has reduced my motivation to build a character. Yeah, exactly this. I ended up not even building them in the end. I'm sorry. Isn't there normally like an open-ended question where you can write feedback? I'm really surprised they didn't include that, actually. Maybe they don't want to hear it, huh? Okay, well, I think the questions that were asked were important questions, but at the same time, I feel like they should know the answers by now. I don't know who in their right mind is like, I love the fact that I can only farm on this day. I love the fact that I can get no dream solvents. I love the fact that I can get the wrong material over and over and over and take forever to build my character. I mean, I feel like this is all common sense. There's no way they don't know that people are unhappy about this. I really hope that this survey is not for nothing and that they actually make changes. I feel like my responses were maybe overly negative, but that's exactly how I feel. And I feel like if you're unhappy, even just a tiny bit, you need to express that because, you know, this survey is just between you and the developers if they choose to actually look at it. So you can be honest without being afraid of like being ripped to shreds by people online, because it's very hard to critique, and not just Genshin, but any game or literally anything that has a very dedicated fan base. It's kind of scary because people get kind of bananas about it, I guess. I'm really hoping for the best. I have mixed feelings about this survey, to be honest, because like I said, I feel like all of this is just obvious. I don't like the fact that they didn't let us write any feedback down at the end, because even if we express that we're unhappy about something, I think it would be good to let the players say like, hey, maybe you can do this instead, because it's also possible that they might make changes, but they're not much better than what we already had. I think it's important to get like proper feedback, like what do players think is a good way to handle this? But I mean, that's what they chose to do. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to vent again. But I've written feedback in surveys before about things that were bothering me, and I know that other people have too. And up until now, nothing has really happened. I don't want to be like super negative about it, but I'm also not really that hopeful. I'd like to be cautiously optimistic and say maybe they are going to take this survey seriously, because these are very specific questions about very specific quality of life changes. I'm really hoping for the best, genuinely. I have a lot of love for this game. I know that I complain about it so much, but I love the characters, I love the world, I love the music, and I just feel like Genshin players deserve so much better. Even if I never come back to the game, I really hope that current players can get a better experience. Because right now I'm only playing 2 gacha games. Because among Genshin, I also dropped 2 other ones. It wasn't just Genshin, but the games that I'm playing now, the developers are doing an amazing job. And they're consistently adding quality of life changes, and I feel like the community is being heard. And it feels amazing to play games that are consistently being improved. Like even Infinity Nikki, for example. I know like almost none of my viewers play this game, but to give you an example, there are boss fights in Infinity Nikki, believe it or not. And you need to do those boss fights to get like specific materials, just like with any other gacha game. And they ended up changing it so that you could basically click a single button that says quick challenge. You get the rewards and you just don't have to fight the boss at all. You still have the option to fight the boss again and get the reward that way, but if you're like, I don't really feel like fighting the boss or I don't have time, it's just a click away and you get the rewards without doing anything. I think that's amazing. And that's just one example. They've done many other things. It just feels super nice playing games that are consistently being improved. And I really want the same for Genshin. All gacha players deserve a better experience. It doesn't matter what game it is. I don't think it's okay for a game to stay the same, especially for years without any meaningful quality of life. It just doesn't make any sense, especially when you're so financially successful. So, gosh, I'm really hoping they actually take this feedback seriously and actually make some changes, because I feel like Genshin has been falling behind more and more, and it's kind of sad to see, to be honest. Because this game has so much potential. And it's not like it's bad, it just really needs some tuning and some fixes. Anyway, I'm done with my little rant again. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Bye bye, and I'll see you next time.